The following video has been approved by the JD marketing team. The video has been rated JD. The following video may not be suitable for all viewers. G'day, mate. Welcome to Friday Facts 365 Future Plans, and I have a future mojo here with me. How you doing, mate?
Hello. I have future me problems.
Yeah. We all have future me problems. And then normally it's future me is dealing with past me problems. Anyway. We have a Friday Facts. We have Friday Facts 365. I did a speculation video yesterday, day before, whatever it was, and I get to see whether I'm right. And Mojo's pre-read ahead, and I've read nothing so far because this has only been out for 20 minutes, I want to say. It came out on a Friday, which
it actually came out on a reasonable Friday.
Hasn't actually happened for us in I don't remember how long. A long time.
I was going to say this is a read through that it starts with the B word that you're not allowed to say anymore on Twitch. The first impressions Friday Facts.
Oh yeah. The B word that you can't say blind playthrough on Twitch. You can say it on YouTube. But you know, I'm on YouTube, so it's fine. Anyway, so we start off with... So this is posted by Kovrex and the Factorio team. So this is going to be, I'm gathering, very interesting. But yeah, he starts off with, Hello 1.1 is the final release of the vanilla game. It will be maintained, so bug fixes, although they have like 0 bugs. Simple modding interface additions or minor tweaks can happen, but that's about it. Which I fully respect. Like...
Yeah, he's declared it feature complete. No more features.
Yeah, they've done a really good job. Like they had 1.0, which was a little bit early, which got pushed forward because of Cyberpunk, which then Cyberpunk got delayed again and then came out as a giant flop anyway.
Only for PS4 users.
Oh, I don't know. It's had quite a few bugs, and then they released mods or something the other day, and then released a note the day after, like, please don't install mods. We found a DLL that can let people access source code on your computer and execute things. Don't play with the mods just yet, which is... Yeah, okay. Oops. Yeah, Cyberpunk. Yeah. So then they pushed like 1.01 and 1.02 and added a few features that they would have liked to have had in 1.1 but got skipped for some reason. So they've done really, really well. Like, I agree, Factorio 1 point whatever, it's done. Kovrex says it's done. We're all happy it's done. But then they bring up the future. What's going to happen? And several possibilities. Retiring's not really an option for some reason. Not going insane being one of them. Yeah, I could see that happening. There are some smaller experiments outside the Factorio realm that we want to do. But apart from that, we still want to extend the game. There's a large pool of ideas, so we all have to pick the most potent ones, but the question is, how do you package them? There are 4 basic options. Free updates forever. Any dev company that does free updates forever generally goes out of business.
Yeah, there's only so many copies of a game you can sell.
Yeah. Factorio 2.0, which, considering we have Factorio... We've had Satisfactory. I'm pretty sure everybody's heard of Satisfactory now. Dyson Sphere is the current game taking off. Factorio 2.0 would definitely have a whole new caliber. It'd have to be 3D to start with. So
yeah, or at least it needed to add elements.
Look, I think you'd skip Factorio 2.0 and go straight forward to Factorio 3D. Because that's been a meme for such a long time, then why not? So next option is small DLC packs, or the third option, one big expansion pack. Yeah, so we have free updates forever. A lot of games do it, notably Minecraft and Terraria. They both do really well, so the model works, but I believe it's not the best way for a go, as we're a little bit more of a niche game with a smaller, more dedicated audience. This means the room for expansion in the sense of getting more players is limited. I agree.
Also, hang on, doesn't Minecraft sell skins now?
I have no idea, but like even then, Minecraft has released like 4 or 5 like side games that are Minecraft oriented.
Yeah,
I know
they do spin off quite a lot. Like the last one was Minecraft that I recall was Minecraft Dungeons, which was a dungeon RPG game.
Yeah, with like Minecraft block voxel art. It was.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll just leave that one there. So, and then they have Factorio 2. The problem with the sequel is it's expected to be very different in many ways. Technically, a different game. StarCraft 1 to StarCraft 2. Sequels don't, that mainly just extend the content but reuse most of the stuff than the previous installment were in common in old school games like Baldur's Gate 1 to 2, Fallout 1 to 2, Doom 1 to 2. Yes, I agree. But that is not the expectation today. The point is that making a new Factorio is the exact opposite of what they want to do. Finally, the base game is a state we're happy with. Things like the graphics, tutorial, engine, multiplayer. Specifically, we spent most of last year in finalizing the GUI, and the last thing we want to do is throw it all away for the sake of changing stuff.
Do you know what? Seeing that list of games, well, almost all those games, Doom is a bit of an exception, all of those games add deep, more constrained storytelling from going from 1 to 2.
I played Baldur's 1 and 2. I played Fallout 1 and 2, and I played Doom 1 and 2. Doom, it was a short shooter. It always was, and...
Back in those days, stories were... Yeah,
they weren't a thing.
They were like intermissions.
Let's be honest, stories were not a thing, especially when it came to Doom. StarCraft 2, I never played. Fallout 1 to 2, it was more storyline, more side quests, more everything. Same with Baldur's Gate. It was like the same game but 4 times the size. And
more story. I say constrained, but more. What I mean is, I don't really just mean more story.
Yeah, well,
just gives you more story, more deeper lore, that sort of thing, and that's something that doesn't really work for Factorio. I say Doom's it's a different case because they did Doom 2 first, like that was meant to be a non-shareware game.
Yeah, because Doom 1 made its success, a lot of its success from being shareware to start with. But yeah, look, in all those cases, like Factorio doesn't really have a storyline. Problem number 1.
And what story they did add, they removed.
Yeah. The whole new player experience went out the window. I'm so sad it's still gone. The other thing is making the game 4 times the size. I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, it sort of goes against the idea of what we want to do with the game.
Look, it's the maps are technically infinite. They're not physically infinite, but they're technically, you'll never cover a whole map. You'll never be able to...
For all practical purposes, it's infinite.
Yeah, you'll never build... Like, you can't suddenly make a factory 4 times the size you've got right now, because they've optimized the crap out of the game. There is nowhere else to go, so... Yeah. So, small DLC packs. Personally, as a player, I'm not a big fan of a lot of small DLC packs because it gets cluttered, it gets hard to keep track of what I have, what features in what pack, and what do I need to buy in order to play with a friend. Not even mentioning the developer pain of having small, independent chunks of content that need to be compatible and balanced in every possible combination. Paradox Games. Is it Paradox?
yeah, there's one. Particularly Borderlands series does pretty good. Like, there's a lot of skins and stuff which are client side. There's the extra characters.
Stardock?
Star Citizen?
No, I'm thinking that like a major publisher house. I think Stardock is another one that has like every game they release has 4 or 5 DLCs. I think Paradox is the big Yeah, it is Paradox. Yeah. Paradox
does that with Prison Architect.
Yeah, they do it half.
And Tropico and all that, but they're single player, admittedly.
No, there's somebody in the comments has answered right now. Scroll down. There is one developer who buys up games, and I think it is Paradox. It's Paradox. They do City Skylines. There's like 35 DLCs for the game. It's just insane. And I own City Skylines. I have no idea what DLCs I do and don't have. And I actually think I bought a pack once on Steam that I already owned half of the DLCs, and it didn't lower the price because I already owned them, and they didn't get a free copy I'd give to a friend or anything. It was just bad luck. For
small DLCs, I could see people going crazy for a Chibi Engineer graphic mod.
Look,
Chibi Engineer DLC.
The thing is, there's already a mod that sort of did it, and I reviewed it, and it sort of worked. So there is room for DLCs, yes, but I think for the effort of putting in a DLC, there's too high a chance that somebody will just mod in the exact same features as a mod.
And also small paid DLCs like Chibi Armor kind of goes against Kovarex's original mission statement. Yeah. He's been very much like, this is the game, never on sale. It is what it is. You know, we don't want to do piles and piles of DLC and all sorts of stuff. But no scummy stuff.
one big expansion pack does seem to fit best. So they could focus purely on extending what they already have, make new content, which we want to do so dearly. There would be one well-defined product that would be significant enough to recapture people's attention, and it would be compatible with our workflow. Technically, it would be just a new version of the game with all the infrastructure and mods getting updated multiplayer, and it would just work the same as it worked now. So expansion pack it is, which immediately creates two main questions. What will it contain and when was it coming? What? It's too early to show any of the plans, and since we're going to keep the iterative process of expanding on things that prove to be the most fun, the plan is quite loose anyway. When? All I can say is we're starting to work on it now. We don't think it will take less than a year to develop. And I'm personally very curious how the theory of getting more efficient once the game is solid will hold. Okay.
So it's going to take at least a year to see anything develop, and is also wondering how much more optimization RCing can squeeze out of the engine.
I don't know how much there is. Okay, so looking for humans. We don't want to discriminate, so we try. So if a talent, animal, or AI applies, we'll happily give it a job. Since we're finally going to add some new content where we're financially doing quite okay, best time to invest in reinforcing our team. One of the steps we've already taken is hiring a concept artist. He might be known to you under the nick of Arendelle. Yes, Arendelle is the guy who did space exploration, which is take your factory and it supports a giant space platform and then has a whole bunch of more science recipes, all sorts of things that can only be done in space, where you need to then build a new factory in space supported by multiple planets over an actual solar system with multiple planets. And I recently, January, finished a game after 50 plus in-game day, 50 plus days playtime. It's not a small mod pack.
Just a little bit of playtime.
Yeah.
I actually think it's really interesting that they picked him up, of all things, and as a concept artist too. So he'll be working on the foundation of the expansion pack.
Yeah, well, he's so concept artist goes one of two ways. It's either a concept artist of what ideas you have, or concept artist of actual artwork as well. So it could go either way. I know Arendelle did a lot of the art for his own mod, and it's one of those mods that has its own art pack, and they are very, very extensive. In fact, he's also done the Alien Biomes mod, which a lot of people have probably seen, and I've even featured in my current...
That's ubiquitous.
Yeah, I've featured in my current series, my Notorio series. It's again a massive mod pack. So yeah. So
I think the obvious thing also is that for anyone who remembers, I don't recall which exact FFF it is, but it's a very old one which talks about space platforms. So that might be as an expansion or in-game thing. So that might be on the table again in some form or another.
I featured in my video I did. Friday Facts 74.
Sounds
Boom!
like one of them.
Done it. Space platforms. Yes.
There it is.
Yeah. So they did mention in their Indiegogo campaign and throughout history of the Friday Facts and other things, they have mentioned that one of the end goals was for Factorio was to go to space. All right. And I will link up the top right hand corner a couple of things. By all means, click on all of them. A link to my space exploration series, which were all done over on Twitch, so they're on the secondary channel. At the same time, I'll link to my speculation video that, like I said, I did a couple of days ago. It covers some of the resources that I gathered beforehand, before this Friday Facts coming out, because I sort of knew what was coming. But yeah, they have mentioned building rockets, building space platforms, building spaceships. They also mentioned somewhere, which I'm guessing got lost somewhere along the way, that you have to build a spaceship and then you can sit back and watch it save the citizens, and see how well your spaceship survived space and everything else and how robust you made it. As the only citizens we have on the planet happen to be of the biter variety, I'm guessing we don't need to save them anymore.
No, we only need to exterminate them.
Yes, pretty much.
And trees.
Yeah, yeah. Can we throw in the rocks and cliffs at the same time? Yes.
Yeah, anything that's not buildable can be obliterated.
Anything that gets in the way of the concrete needs to go. So yeah, they've brought in Arendelle. They're also hiring. We already hired 2 out of the many applicants. Please welcome Jersey and Lucas. However, it's still from far enough, so we're looking for more artists. Wow. The full listing is on the ArtStation page, as long as also on our website. Is it finally on the website? It is finally on the website. It wasn't there the other day.
Hey.
Yeah, I went and looked the other day, and it was posted on ArtStation, and I was told it was also linked on their LinkedIn page, but not on their own website. They're looking for an operations developer. So we have a lot of build servers, deployment processes, web servers, office network, etc. We'd like someone to reinforce our DevOps team and help us maintain the development process of the systems, which will involve working in our blah, 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 blah. If you feel any of those things, go reply. Actually, there's a couple of people in my Discord who are probably applying for these jobs as well right now. C++ program. We don't need any programmers that much at this moment. Somebody exceptionally skilled can always find a place here. Bonus points for Linux, Mac OS specialists.
They always need Linux, not so much Linux, but Mac OS specialists.
Yeah, they haven't had a dedicated Mac guy for a while.
Like a billion years now.
Yeah, yeah. So the initial Factorio commit was done on the 31st of the 3rd, 2012. So Factorio was in development for 8 years, 10 months. I did this comparison in Friday Facts 223 and Friday Facts 81. Hope you don't mind if I combine it. If I compare it with the current state, 3,233 days of development.
It's a day or two.
411 public releases. Yeah. 57,000 commits in the master branch.
Doesn't sound like much, but it actually is a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot. What's that? 850,000 lines of code, 2.3 million words, 35 million characters, and this equivalent of 70 average books. Yeah, it's a little bit.
What is this, the 70s, when you used to measure digital stuff in characters?
Look. Yeah, you used to measure things in how many characters it was, and then we moved up to how many floppy disks it was, and now, like, storage just costs nothing. So, you know.
There's actually a bunch of things that used to use as measurements there, like the floppy disk one. I'd forgotten about that one, but there were also lines of code. That was the big one up until the end of the 90s.
Yeah.
Everyone used to talk about how many lines of code something was.
Yeah, and people get hired or fired on how many lines of code they wrote per day.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Didn't have to be good code. It just had to be lines of code you wrote.
Yeah, quantity, not quality.
Yeah. So what's that? 87,000 different sprites with 950 million non-empty pixels. So that's ignoring all the transparency, probably
transparencies and other effects.
Yeah, maybe even the white and the black that they sometimes have around buildings. I don't know, but that's a lot of pixels. 8,688 resolved bugs. Only counting those reported on our forums. Oh, so that doesn't include the internal ones that they've found.
Yeah, that they found and fixed.
And fixed themselves. Yeah, 13,000 lines in the changelog. That's really impressive because they keep quite detailed changelogs. Whereas lots of other games have we fixed some bugs. That's the whole line of the changelog, and it's a 30 megabyte patch. And Woob's like, oh no, we fixed this particular bug and that particular bug and that particular bug, and they really, really ascertain exactly how many bugs they fixed and what the original bug reports were. So if you don't update, you can always go and recreate some of these interesting bugs that have been found. I love this one. 799,000 YouTube videos. So close to 800,000.
So close.
Yeah. 2.6 million Google hits of Factorio. 483,000 forum posts. 38,000 years, forget all the other numbers, of combined playtime on Steam. Now, Mojo, do you play Factorio on Steam?
Yes.
Oh, you do? Okay. I don't. And I know a lot of players who play modified Factorio don't. because they
Yeah, I
have
mean, I had the game before it was released on Steam, so there's some hours that were not recorded on Steam.
not recorded. Yeah. On top of that, I have significant hours, and so do a lot of other people in my community because we run multiple installs. And you're playing a single player install, it's a standalone install, or it's your Steam install, and then you join a multiplayer server rather than having to resync all the mods and change the mod settings.dat file, which doesn't really save properly across whatever. People just have a separate install of Factorio, and they just bang up and running. So yeah, I'm wondering exactly how many years there are of not Steam time of Factorio.
Probably just as much, if not more.
Yeah. And then finally, and this is the one that I actually thought they'd be higher. So they went from 74,000 to 1.2 million to 2.5 million copies sold. I thought they did 2 million prior to 1.0 coming out.
So did I.
Okay. Yeah, like 1.0 was a big thing. In fact, they had the homepage of Steam for quite some time, for all of release date.
Pretty close.
And I think the day after, if they only sold 500,000 copies since 1.0, that's a little bit unfortunate. It means most of the copies were already sold, and there wasn't as large a market as they'd hoped, waiting for the final release of the game. The 1.0, because they had said that previously that they know a lot of people hold off on early access games. They wait for a final release. So yeah, and then we have a couple of interesting comparison lines. So there is 0.34 lines of code per one buyer. Okay. 18 commits per day. We're just going to round that number up. That's a lot of commits on a daily factor. That is an awful lot. 9.2 YouTube videos per one sprite.
That's a weird one. I mean, I actually just had to think about that for a minute. If you got 10 to 15 people on the team, that's 1 to 2. That's less than 1 to 2 commits per team member per day.
Yeah, I know, but
it actually isn't that much.
They have done previous Friday Facts, and they're like showing all the stats, and it's like, Persilla, I remember, doesn't commit that often, but when he does, they're massive. Seeding does lots and lots of little commits, like all the time.
Oh yeah, he admittedly more than half of them probably is him.
Yeah. Kovarex doesn't work on Factorio all that often, but when he does, it's generally a large commit. All right. So yeah. What else do we have? We have 8 months of Steam play time per one commit. 4.4 years of playtime per bug report. Yeah, resolved bug report. 37 days of Steam play for each line of code, and 21.5 minutes for each pixel. I go on this for a while, but mainly it just makes me realize that making changes, improving things, and fixing even small annoyances in the game is worth it. Also, it seems like we're generally doubling everything in 2 years, which sounds like a good progression. Let's see where they get in 2 more years' time. Yeah, I'm curious what happens in 2 years. Mojo?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I mean, eventually it might slow down a little bit.
Well, they've said the expansion is going to take at least a year, so I'm expecting a lot of quietness for a year. I'm wondering what they're going to do with the Friday Facts, because that said one of the things I covered in my speculation video. I'm really wondering whether the Friday Facts, they're going to continue doing Friday Facts with expansions.
Because it's a large expansion pack is going to slip nicely into the Friday Facts.
Mm-hmm. Actually, they cover it here. So, final words. We're going to stop the Friday Facts for a while again. There are some more reasons. We need to focus on experimenting and iterating design ideas. If we show something that ends up being removed or replaced, it can feel like a broken promise, and we've learned that is generally the worst thing we can do. They've added and removed so many things from Research Queue. Research Queue was promised, added, removed, and then added back because Kovarex decided he really liked the idea after actually doing a playthrough. Who was the person who originally wanted to get rid of it? Just bring up prime examples. We don't want to start building hype too early and drive attention away from the finished Factorio. That's sort of understandable. Some additions recall. Yep.
I learned from previous FFFs for announcing things too early.
Yeah, unfortunately, when they launched it, the one line, we've only got 150 bugs, which is as we
Yeah,
both said at the
that was
time.
poor phrasing.
Yeah, but as we both said at the time, like 150 bugs for most final game releases on release day is nothing. It is really nothing. And unfortunately, press picked it up left, right, and center and ran with it, and it just it probably dampened their launch.
It did. It did. I say. I was actually thinking. I remember seeing the Prison Architect one bug list at one point. It was like, at the same time as one of the releases, like well over 1,000.
Oh yeah. There's lots of games that are in final release, and they've been in final release for quite some time with like constant updates for fixing bugs, and they're still full of bugs. They're still full of open bug tickets that just like, it's too hard. It's not, we not enough people get that crash because they have automated crash reports, same as Factorio does, and it's not high on the list. So yeah. And then, they have some of the additions require extending the engine, but some of them can be reproduced with mods to a certain extent. We have experience with people trying to use mods to emulate our future changes before they're released.
Sim mod 15 science mod.
Yeah, it was repeated again for 16. Yes. This has a few problems. People playing with these emulations can have altered expectations for the expansion. Also, it wouldn't feel that new anymore. Yeah.
That is actually another interesting one. It actually is more telling of anything else about the expansion, because they need to extend the engine and modify the engine. That means there is got to be some new stuff coming.
It means that whatever they've got planned is either not available via a mod, or a mod has done it already via a hacky way. I know.
Or my interpretation is that it's something that's not possible in the game yet.
Yeah, you say that, but like underground tunnels in Factorio for trains are completely not possible. The devs have said that many times. Muppet, who we both know, very, very good modder, has underground trains.
We've had a few now.
We have had a few, but this one actually seems to work, whereas the other ones, they worked through. One of the ones was taking the exploit of sliding trains between one another's hitboxes, which was fine until the devs fixed the hitboxes around corners, and then suddenly this didn't work anymore. But yeah, like there's ways to do things, and the devs by all means adding features, great. Adding more to the engine, great idea. But some modders have done some really, really interesting things to get stuff done. There are many interesting topics related to design, implementing planned features. So as the release approaches, we're more happy to present a peek into the process and discussing more of the content additions. That is to say, Friday Facts will be up and running again once time is right. So there'll be more future Friday Facts from both the devs and myself and Mojo. But I'm curious on a couple of things, and this is mostly unrelated, and I've been bad, and I haven't given Mojo the source material. So, a month ago, V played through Space Exploration, which is the mod that Arendelle works on. And he played through the whole game, and I just played through it myself, and it is 1, impressive, 2, massive. It's one of those mods. People ask me so often to play Bobs and Angels, and you've done this, Mojo. You've played Bob's Angels, haven't you?
Yeah, not for a while, but I've done it.
Okay, have you played Space Exploration? Well, you did partially with us.
Yeah, partially. I've been wanting to for a long time, but never actually got around to it. Space
Exploration I found to be a giant mod pack that was interesting from start to almost the end. Right at the end, it got a little bit, pulling teeth, but every single time I see Bob's Angels, and even when I've been on C-Block playthroughs, it's been a giant pain, honestly.
It's a bit too long-winded. It's like C-Block. It's a little bit too long-winded for me to want to sit down and actually do it. That's why I haven't done it yet.
Space Exploration?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a very, very long playthrough. Because, yes, you have multiple planets you need to visit, and that's going to require logistics going from planet to planet to planet. There are certain rare resources that you won't find on your home planet. You're only going to find them on other planets. Every planet is different, and some planets have biters and some planets don't. So, yeah, that's a whole nother situation you've got to deal with. But yeah, as I said, V did play through, and we have a nice image I can look at. Yeah, so you've got cargo rocket logistics, which was a big thing. You have spaceship automation, so you actually build spaceships in space to fly from A to B. You have some very interesting recipes, and unfortunately, I think the mod favors fluids way too much, which was a giant pain in the ass. Arcospheres, which is something I'm not even going to attempt to explain during this video. And the beacon mechanics were interesting, because you could only have one beacon applied to each building. Which vastly changed how beacons worked. On the offside, on the upside, I guess, you got a beacon. This particular beacon here, I think, has 15 module slots, so much larger, much more effective. And you only need one of them. But yeah, you can't wrap buildings in beacons anymore. So yeah, I'm very, very confident that the future Friday, or the future Factorio, the Factorio DLC will involve definitely going to space, definitely doing some sort of ground to space platform logistics, and definitely involving something probably with spaceships. I think the spaceships that are in space exploration itself are interesting. I don't know in the DLC where you're going to fly them to, but, you know, they're cool to have, no matter what.
At the very least, I could see them making use of the multiple surfaces that the game offers, because that's a feature that the game currently doesn't use.
Yeah, that's
very much.
That's entirely true. So yeah, currently you can have, and this is one of the things that space exploration really exploits, is every planet is on a different surface. So yeah. I think the game supports up to 255, but maybe it's been expanded.
I don't recall. It may still be that. I'm not sure.
But yeah, consequently, every planet you visit in the space exploration mod, it's a different planet on a different surface. Which means that, I don't know, it means that there is a lot more the game can do. It does also mean that rather than building one giant mega factory, if you build 4 mediocre factories on 4 separate surfaces, none of them physically connect to one another, but your computer still has to process all 4 factories at the same time. So maybe Arsening has more work up his sleeve with
Factorissimo uses multiple. Uses multiple surfaces to store its
its little warehouse.
Buildings.
Yeah. So the Factorissimo one is the one where you put down a warehouse, and then you can walk into the warehouse.
Well, factory building is not so much a warehouse.
It's
not confusing it with the warehouse mod.
Okay. You walk into building, and then it has its own separate tiny little factory in there, or tiny little area where you can build a tiny little factory. And yes, and it also supports buildings in buildings, not to use the factory word. All right.
Yeah. Recursive factories.
Oh yeah, which is a whole different type of insane. So yeah, I think that's the direction where they're going. But unfortunately, I don't think we're going to hear anything for 6 months.
Yeah, I'm not expecting to hear anything for a while. But yeah. I was expecting that we're going to hear some radio silence. We're going to go radio silence on the FFF for a while they work out their direction, and then they're going to start up again. And as things are going to go back to regular weekly FFFs.
I definitely hope we go back to weekly FFFs. I really missed the weekly Friday Facts, the weekly updates. I said this, and the team at Wib have mentioned this before, that they had like 20,000 people reading the Friday Facts every week, right? Or whatever the number happened to be. That's a very, very large fan base that are always checking to see what you're updating to your game. I was looking at a game like Satisfactory that was released prior to Satisfactory and wanted to see where it was up to only like 3 days ago, and wondering whether it had finally been released into 1.1, 1.0 yet, and turns out it hit 1.0 2 years ago, and I had no idea, because I hadn't thought about the game in several years. Whereas if you're doing a weekly Friday Facts, people tend to get used to coming back and checking, and they know every Friday the newsletter comes out. You can read it over the weekend, you can read it Friday at work, one of those things. It becomes a habit. Yeah, it becomes a habit. And as far as Woob's concerned, a good habit, because it means that the fans are constantly getting updates which means that when you drop a new DLC, the fans are the first ones to come buy it straight away the second it releases, rather than, oh yeah, that game I played 6 months ago has a DLC. I wonder if I want to, I haven't played the game in forever, let's not worry about it. Which is what happens to a lot of DLCs. And with only 2.5 million copies sold, maybe that's not a bad idea to really try and convert every one of those original sales into a future sale. But yeah, I'm curious what happens. I'm curious where we're going. I'm gonna wait 6 months, I guess, to hear more news, because I don't think we're gonna get anything substantial for the next 6 months. But yeah, with all that said, I guess that's it for Friday Facts 365. Future plans, future who knows, and we'll see you guys in a couple of months when another one pops out. Yes?
Yeah, more or less then. Do you want one last little fact?
Sure.
To finish up on?
Yep.
So you know how we're talking about the non-empty pixels?
Yes, that's on my screen somewhere. Yes.
Yes.
945,930,442 non-empty pixels. Yep.
That's 27 times, or 27.5, I think it was, times 8K resolution.
Holy shit. Yeah, with that bombshell, we're out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you're enjoying. And we'll see you guys in the next Factorio video, whenever that is. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.